She mocked me publicly for not looking like Chris Evans. So I let her own words destroy the image she cared about most. It was supposed to be one of those quiet, uneventful Sundays, the kind where you just exist together. She was curled up on one end of the couch, legs tucked under a blanket, phone glowing in her hand. I was on the other end, flipping between emails and news articles, sipping on a lukewarm coffee. Nothing dramatic, nothing intense, just ordinary. Or at least it was until my phone buzzed. I glanced down and saw the notification. Girlfriend's name has posted to her Instagram story. Normally, I wouldn't have thought twice. She lived on Instagram, selfies, brunch photos, random memes, nothing out of the ordinary. But this time, curiosity got the better of me. I tapped, and there it was. Her face wasn't even in the frame, just a white background with black text and a couple of fire emojis. Ugh, wish my boyfriend looked like Chris Evans' weary face fire. At first, I stared at the screen, trying to process what I was reading. It felt like one of those moments where your brain short circuits. Was this a joke? Was she quoting a meme? Was she drunk texting Instagram at 2 p.m. on a Sunday? But no, she had actually posted it. For her entire follower list to see. Friends, coworkers, classmates, cousins, even her mom. She was sitting 3 feet away from me, posting about how she wished she was dating someone else. The casual cruelty of it hit harder than I expected. My chest tightened, but I didn't say a word. I didn't even look at her right away. I just let the weight of it sit. And here's the thing. She didn't even look guilty. She didn't glance at me nervously, didn't bite her lip, didn't act like she'd just made a mistake. She scrolled like nothing happened, like it was completely normal to compare me to a Hollywood actor in front of her entire social circle. That was when I decided I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry or beg or storm out. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me wounded. Instead, I tapped right back into her post and hit reply. I typed, "Wish my girlfriend looked like Margot Robbie." Man shrugging. Send. The buzz on her phone was immediate. She picked it up, and I watched her eyes scan the notification. Her expression dropped, all the smugness gone in an instant. She whipped her head toward me, eyes wide, mouth slightly open like I had just betrayed her in some unimaginable way. "Are you serious right now?" she hissed. "Dead serious," I said, keeping my voice calm. Her fingers flew across her phone, deleting her post within minutes. But here's the thing. Once something's on the internet, it's never really gone. Screenshots started coming in. A buddy of mine sent me one with the caption, "Bro, did she really just post this?" Another message popped up, LMAO savage reply. Respect. And then came the kicker. Her own friends began messaging me privately. Some sent laughing emojis. Some asked if we were fighting, and one even said, "TBH, that was kind of messed up of her. You didn't deserve that." Meanwhile, she sat next to me on the couch, fuming, demanding that I explain why I had embarrassed her in front of everyone. But the truth was, she had lit the match. All I did was let the fire burn where everyone could see. And by the next day, people weren't just laughing. They were talking, whispering, comparing. Suddenly, the image she had built up of her, started to crack. Because screenshots don't disappear. And what her friends saw next? Well, that was only the beginning. The fallout didn't wait long. By Monday morning, the cracks in her carefully curated image had already started spreading like wildfire. Her phone was buzzing nonstop while she got ready for work. At first, she ignored it, brushing her hair, picking out her outfit, adjusting her eyeliner. But the more it buzzed, the more her hands trembled. She tried to act like nothing was wrong, but I could see her jaw tightening with every new ping. Finally, she opened her messages, and that's when I heard her sharp intake of breath. One of her closest friends had sent a screenshot, her own post about Chris Evans, followed by my comment underneath it. The friend had written, "Girl, why would you post that about your man? That's so cold." Her thumb hovered over the screen, like she couldn't figure out what to say. For once, she had no witty comeback, no snarky defense. I sipped my coffee slowly, watching the storm brew. "Problem?" I asked casually. She shot me a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "You knew people would screenshot it." I shrugged. "Didn't have to. You put it out there yourself." By lunchtime, it wasn't just one or two friends. It was everyone. Her group chats were filled with laughing emojis, snide remarks, and not-so-subtle questions like, "So you think you're out of his league, huh? Chris Evans, though? Be realistic." Face with tears of joy. Imagine if he really dated Margot Robbie. Where would that leave you? It was brutal. What made it worse was that I didn't have to say or do anything. Her own words were the weapon. I had simply held up a mirror. That evening, we were supposed to meet up with a few of her friends for drinks, something she normally looked forward to. But when we walked into the bar, the energy shifted immediately. One of her girlfriends raised her glass and smirked. "So, where's Chris Evans tonight?" The table erupted in laughter. A couple of the guys chimed in. "Better yet, where's Margot Robbie?" "Bro, if you manage that, let us know." I could see her trying to laugh it off, but her cheeks flushed red. She wasn't used to being on the defensive. Usually, she was the one throwing the shade, not receiving it. For the first half hour, she tried to overcompensate, hugging her friends too tightly, pretending she was in on the joke. But I noticed the way she kept darting looks at me, silently begging me not to add fuel to the fire. I didn't. I didn't need to. The silence was my weapon now. A couple of her guy friends even patted me on the back, one whispering, "Good on you, man." About time someone clapped back. Her social circle had shifted overnight. Suddenly, she wasn't the untouchable one in control. She was just another person who had taken a cheap shot and gotten burned. By the time we got home, she was fuming. She slammed the door, tossed her purse on the floor, and spun around to face me. "You embarrassed me," she shouted. I raised an eyebrow. "Did I? Or did you embarrass yourself?" "You didn't have to comment like that," she snapped. "You could have just talked to me privately." I leaned back against the counter, folding my arms. "And you could have talked to me privately instead of posting about me to your 600 followers." Her mouth opened, then closed. No comeback. For the first time in a long time, she was the one standing there speechless. Over the next few days, things got worse for her. Her coworkers had seen it too. At lunch, someone asked her if she'd rather be with a Chris Evans type. She laughed awkwardly, but the joke stuck. She told me later in a rare moment of honesty that she felt like everyone was looking at her differently. Even her mom, who usually worshipped the ground she walked on, had apparently called to ask, "Why would you humiliate your boyfriend like that? He's good to you." When her mom wasn't on her side, she realized just how badly she had messed up. Meanwhile, I went about my days like nothing had happened. I didn't bring it up. I didn't press her. I didn't rub it in. I just let her sit in the discomfort of her own actions. And that silence drove her crazy. One night, about a week later, she finally broke. We were lying in bed, the glow of her phone lighting up her face as she scrolled through Instagram, probably checking who was still gossiping about her. She set her phone down, turned to me, and whispered, "Do you actually wish I looked like Margot Robbie?" I paused, then looked her dead in the eye. "Do you actually wish I looked like Chris Evans?" She froze. She didn't answer. That's when it hit her. The realization that respect in a relationship cuts both ways. You can't publicly demean someone and then expect loyalty, love, and care in return. Screenshots don't disappear, and neither do the consequences. What her friends saw next, her unraveling, her scrambling to repair her image, was just the beginning. Because while she was trying to erase the damage, I had already started reevaluating everything. And for the first time, I was the one holding all the cards. Update 1. By the time 2 weeks had passed, the post wasn't just yesterday's drama. It had turned into something much bigger, something she couldn't control anymore. At first, she tried damage control the only way she knew how. Deleting the post, posting something sweet about me, then flooding her story with quotes about people who can't take a joke and how haters always try to drag you down. But it backfired. One of her friends reposted a screenshot of her original caption alongside her new "Love My Man Blackheart" post and wrote, "Funny how things change when the internet doesn't agree with you." That got likes. That got comments. And suddenly, the narrative wasn't about me at all anymore. It was about her being two-faced, about her pretend confidence, about how she tried to clown her own boyfriend and ended up clowned herself. She hated it. Absolutely hated it. Her phone stopped buzzing with laughter and instead filled with silence. Friends who used to always reply instantly started leaving her on read. A couple even unfollowed her. That hurt her more than she wanted to admit. I could tell by the way she kept checking her follower count every night. Refreshing, refreshing, refreshing. One evening, I walked into the living room and caught her scrolling through an old group chat. She wasn't typing, just reading. Her face looked pale, her jaw tense. "Everything okay?" I asked casually. She locked the phone immediately, like I had caught her with something incriminating. "Yeah, fine." But I knew. She had seen them talking about her. At work, it wasn't any better. She told me one day in the car that her coworkers had started treating her differently. Not cruelly, worse. They just didn't take her seriously anymore. Someone had even joked in a meeting. Careful, don't end up in her story like her boyfriend did. Everyone laughed. She laughed too, but she told me later her hands had been shaking under the table. The worst part? She couldn't lash out. Normally, if someone made a comment she didn't like, she'd snap back, throw shade, make them feel small. But now she couldn't, because they weren't wrong. And she knew it. At home, the tension between us was suffocating. She tried different tactics. Sometimes she played nice, cooking dinner, asking about my day, even putting her phone away when we talked. A miracle, honestly. But it felt forced, like she was checking off boxes on a list. Step 1, act caring. Step 2, rebuild trust. Step 3, pretend everything is fine. Other times, she swung the other way, angry, defensive, snapping at me for the smallest things. Once, I left a cup in the sink and she exploded, yelling about how I never appreciated her. But the anger wasn't really about the cup. It was about everything else. She couldn't handle the fact that, for once, I wasn't chasing. I wasn't begging. I wasn't even arguing. I was just observing, detached. And that scared her more than any fight ever could. One night, she finally broke. We were sitting on the couch in silence, the TV on, but neither of us paying attention. Out of nowhere, she whispered, "Are you going to leave me?" The question hung in the air, heavy and raw. I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to say no, to reassure her. But another part of me, the part that had been replaying her post in my head, the smirk on her face when she typed those words, knew I couldn't. Not honestly. So I said nothing. And that silence told her more than words ever could. Her eyes filled with tears. She grabbed my arm like she was afraid I'd disappear right there. "I didn't mean it like that," she said quickly. "It was just a joke. You know I don't think you're ugly. You know I love you." But the thing was, once you've humiliated someone publicly, love starts to sound cheap. Over the next few days, I started noticing something new: desperation. She started posting less. No more flirty captions. No more thirst traps. Instead, vague quotes about learning from mistakes and how the strongest couples survive storms. She even DM'd a few of her friends, asking why they'd been distant. One of them sent back a brutal reply. "Because you always act like you're above everyone. And now you're mad we finally laughed at you? Deal with it." She cried that night. I heard her muffling sobs in the bathroom. For the first time, she wasn't the one laughing. And me? I started to realize I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't even hurt. I was just done. Done with the games. Done with the disrespect. Done with being the punchline. Every time I looked at her now, I didn't see the girl I fell for. I saw someone who cared more about likes than love, attention than affection, ego than empathy. And the truth was, once the illusion shattered, I couldn't unsee it. The final straw came one Friday night. She begged me to go out with her to a friend's birthday party. I agreed, thinking maybe it would be harmless. But the second we walked in, I saw the whispers, the smirks, the sideways glances. One guy leaned over to his friend and said just loud enough for me to hear, "There's Mr. Chris Evans." They laughed. And you know what? For the first time, I laughed too. Not cruelly, just quietly, almost in relief. Because in that moment, I realized the humiliation wasn't mine anymore. It was hers, and it always would be. That night, as we drove home in silence, I made my decision. This wasn't a storm we were going to survive together. This was the ending. And for once, I wasn't scared of it. I was ready. Final update. It didn't happen in one explosive fight. There was no screaming match, no throwing things, no dramatic walkout in the middle of the night. No, the end came quietly, almost too quietly. For weeks, I had been living like a ghost in my own relationship. I worked. I came home. I ate dinner, sometimes with her, sometimes alone. We talked, but never about anything real. I noticed she had stopped posting about me altogether, which was ironic, considering the post that started this whole mess was supposed to be a joke. Instead, her Instagram turned into a graveyard of old memories, with no new ones added. She stopped posting selfies, stopped going out as much, stopped smiling in photos. The girl who once thrived on being the center of attention was now hiding in the shadows. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel triumphant either. I just felt empty. That's how I knew it was over. The decision to leave her wasn't one I made on a single night. It built up in layers, like bricks on a wall. Every time I remembered her words, "Wish my boyfriend looked like Chris Evans," another brick went up. Every time I saw her fake apology post, another brick. Every time I caught her scrolling through those group chats, another. Until finally, I couldn't see her anymore. Just the wall. So one Sunday morning, I woke up, packed a bag, and started moving my things into the guest room permanently. She noticed right away, of course. "What are you doing?" she asked, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. "Making space," I said simply. "For what?" "For me." The look on her face was priceless. Confusion, then fear, then anger, all flashing in quick succession. She wanted to argue, to fight, to shame me into submission. But she didn't. She just walked away. And that silence was the first victory I'd had in months. Over the next few days, I began quietly preparing my exit. I spoke with a lawyer, not because we were married, thank God we weren't, but because I wanted to make sure my name was off the lease and utilities. I started looking at apartments. I even told a few close friends what was happening. One of them asked, "Do you still love her?" And I surprised myself with the answer. I don't think I ever loved who she really is. I loved the version she pretended to be. Saying it out loud was liberating. The real breaking point came the night she decided to host a girls' night at our place. Normally, I didn't mind. I'd just stay in the guest room or go out. But that night, I overheard something that sealed everything for me. One of her friends, one of the few who hadn't completely abandoned her, asked, "So, are you and him good now?" There was a long pause. Then my girlfriend sighed and said, "We're fine. I mean, he hasn't left yet. But I don't know if I even want him to stay. Sometimes I think I could do better anyway." Better. The same word she used in that post. I sat there in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, and laughed. Not out of humor, out of disbelief. Even after everything, she still didn't get it. She still thought this was about her status, her ego, her imaginary league. She didn't realize she had already lost. The next morning, I was gone. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Nothing dramatic, nothing cruel. Just a few simple words. "This isn't working. I hope you figure yourself out. Take care." I didn't slam the door. I didn't send a goodbye text. I just walked out with my bags and didn't look back. 2 days later, my phone blew up. Missed calls, voicemails, texts. At first, they were angry. "So that's it? You're just leaving? You're pathetic. You'll come crawling back when no one else wants you." Then they turned desperate. "Please, can we just talk?" I didn't mean what I said. "You know that. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Don't throw it away." Finally, they turned pitiful. I can't stop crying. Everyone thinks I'm a terrible person. My mom keeps asking what happened. I don't know what to tell her. "Please, I just need you." I didn't reply. Not once. Weeks went by. I settled into my new apartment, small but peaceful. I slept better. I ate better. I laughed more. Meanwhile, I heard from mutual friends that she had become almost unrecognizable. She barely posted online anymore. She stopped going to parties. She even unfollowed half her old circle because she couldn't trust them. For someone who had lived her entire life for validation, losing her audience was the ultimate punishment. And the cruelest part? She did it to herself. The last time I saw her was by accident. I was grabbing coffee downtown when she walked in. She looked thinner, paler, tired. She froze when she saw me. For a moment, I thought she might come over, say something, apologize again. But she didn't. She just stared, her lips trembling, then turned and walked right back out. I stood there, coffee in hand, and realized something profound. She had screamed for attention her whole life. And now, when she finally needed someone to listen, nobody cared anymore. Not even me. That night, I got a message from my brother. He had seen her too. He wrote, "Man, she looks rough. You did the right thing leaving." And for the first time since everything began, I truly believed it. People always say the worst betrayal is when the person who's supposed to protect you is the one who humiliates you. I used to think that was true, but I learned something else. The real betrayal is when you betray yourself, when you care so much about being admired by strangers that you forget to value the person who actually loves you. She lost me the moment she chose the crowd over the relationship. And now, she doesn't have either. I don't know where she is today. I don't care. What I do know is this. I'll never again settle for someone who makes me feel small just to make themselves feel big. Because respect isn't a joke. Love isn't a punchline. And humiliation, once public, can't be undone. She learned that the hard way. And me? I walked away free.